Mr. Nice
Welcome to another edition of Mr. Nice Guy. I'm Ben Slowey. Today on the show, we've got experimental pop artist. He works with loops and synths and that kind of stuff. He goes by the name Bum Alum. And we're here to drink some Admiral Nelson and eat some homemade almond bread. So,
grain-free.
John, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ben.
Dude,
this is really cool. I like your cups.
Oh yeah,
They're experimental cups.
Yeah, right.
It's the whole vibe.
The bent styrofoam aesthetic. Yes, that's what we were going for. Well, cool. So tell me about this bread that you've bestowed upon me here.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, man. So I have a intolerance to grains for the most part, with the exception of like sourdough bread because it's fermented. But I make my own bread as a way to still get to eat some delicious bread. And it's a little bit sweeter because I add the raisins and I use honey to sweeten it within the batter. And first bite, what's your impression? Just first bite, it's gotta be quick, right? Because it's like, you can't think about it.
I really like the texture. The texture is great. You get some of the, as you chew on it, like you get some of the sweeter notes, like the raisins really come out. Like I can definitely, because you mentioned honey, it's like, oh yeah, that kind of describes what I'm sensing here.
Yeah.
No, I like it a lot. It's like, it's definitely different than like conventional bread that I'm used to, but
if I didn't tell you there was no grains in this and just gave it to you, would you like question it? Would you think like, oh, this is?
I think it's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd probably be like, this is still good, and you'd
Oh yeah.
right.
No, I'd still eat it. Yeah. This is like a good this would be really good with like like
scraps.
I would drink this with, or excuse me, I would eat this with it's like a cup of coffee.
Oh,
I would start a day with this.
dude, yes.
No.
And you know what? You'd be starting your day with something easy for your body to digest.
Mm-hmm.
Not very complicated. Your body would be like, hey, thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
Thanks for making my job a little easier today.
Right. Well, thank you, John, for making this bread.
Hey.
This is like, it's also like, this bread is like, it's almost like you, if you were a bread, because, it's a slightly little experimental little alternative take on bread.
Yeah.
And you're an alternative experimental take on music, so I think.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
See,
Cool.
It's symbolic. It's good.
So I want to plug real quick. His single, All Things Said, is streaming everywhere. Very good song. So tell me a little bit, John, about let's go back a little bit. So where did you start? Like, where did your music career really first start?
Yeah.
Start out, and like, how has it led you to where you are now?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So I was a kid in band playing the trombone. My dad said that, hey, that's too loud. And I was like, and then I kind of didn't play anything for a while. I wasn't really being creative with that anyway. It was kind of just like learning how to play like, basic songs, right? So then my buddy was getting a guitar. He said, hey, you should get a drum set. And I was a little apprehensive, again, trombone situation. But I finally just did it. I told my folks I was going to do it. We started practicing in my garage. And I started like getting a little bit better at it, teaching myself, and I got some separation between my left and my right, and I started feeling a little bit more confident. We started a little band. That was my first band. We played battle of the bands at my high school, and I was the drummer, so that was my first shows as a drummer.
What was the band called?
Oh gosh, I think we were called I don't even think we had a name yet. That's how it wasn't even like a band.
Yeah,
it was like we had a name, but I don't even know what it's called. Right. So that's. I don't know.
It was a strictly functional band.
Yeah, like we played that show,
yeah.
And then that was about the extent of it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then I went on, like, okay, I can kind of play the drums. Now I'm going to start playing the piano, or start playing the keyboard, whatever, and just try to start seeing where that could take me. And then because I had separation between my left and my right, I kind of was able to start teaching myself how to play piano. I got a couple lessons, and then I don't know, I just kind of went from there and tried to start doing some recording when I was in high school. Like I didn't really start playing music till I was like a junior in high school, so that was kind of like when it really started for me. And then I started writing songs mostly. I never sang, I just wrote songs and recorded them, and I just started recording material, releasing it under this name called Antisocial Antics, which was really, I don't know, it was my way of being like, I'm going away for a while because I need to do myself right now, you know? I kept playing though for a really long time, and I started getting to this point where I was like, oh wow, I like these songs. I think I'm getting on to something. And I never sang, and I started singing in the car a lot more. I would pick female artists predominantly actually to sing because I don't know if it was instinctual, but I eventually realized that my voice kind of lends itself to being more of a tenor, and I wanted to work on that, and I started developing a falsetto, and I was like, oh wow, like okay, I can kind of sing a little bit more now. And then I started throwing vocals onto the thing, and that was about the time I was moving to college in Madison. And then I kept writing when I was in college. I went to school for recording stuff, and then joined a band, and I ended up coming to Milwaukee because I was the keyboard player in that band, and that was Miles Coyne and the Rusty Nickel Band actually, and that's kind of how I came to be in Milwaukee.
Shout out Miles Coyne.
Yeah.
Of Yum Yum Cult now.
Yeah, and still probably like 5 bands. I can't keep up with Miles all the time with his music. It's great though. I love how much he puts himself out there. It's really cool. But yeah, I played in that band for a while, and then I eventually started my own band, which was very similar to this name. It was Bum Alum, which is a reference to digestion, but it was really hard to explain that, and my flyers never were spelled right. I still write songs about that though, and I still think that that's a big part of the message. I'm trying to bring awareness to people who have immune disorders, who have problems that they can't control, and that's what I'm trying to relate it back to. But that name changed to Bum Alum, which is more referential to school and feeling like you kind of wasted your time going to school, paying all this money when, 30 years ago, it was $200 a semester to go to college. And so it's like, that's kind of where that led. But at that time, I was playing with a 5-piece that I got together with a bunch of different folks. Jake Marine played in that one, Michelle Panola, my friend Noel Perry, Tyler Hahn. I think that was everyone. I hope so. God, I really hope so. I think that was everyone now. Oh yeah, Amanda Jo Langley.
Good save. Good save.
We had we had a couple different violin players, and she lives in the Pacific Northwest now, so sure. I see her sometimes, but yeah. Anyway, then I decided, well, that band ended because the drummer quit, Jake quit, and I was like, well, I need to figure out how to do this a different way now. So I started getting the loop pedals, and I got inspired by Andrew Bird, who I love, and I noticed he was using the DL4s, so, and also my friend Tyler helped me with that, because he had one as well. So then I started practicing with them, I started syncing them together, and then I went to another loop station, and then I started adding other players again, and it eventually became a response to me being like, oh, I don't want to have other people in case they quit. I still want to be able to play these songs by myself and control the whole process. Like, I love collaborating, but at the same time, it's nice to control a process, because if someone asks you to play a show, you can just say yes, and you don't have to ask 5 people.
Right, yeah.
And if you can sound like 5 people, then that's great. Or 3.5 people, or whatever.
Right.
So that was kind of a long-winded thing of my musical history or whatever. And I was in this band called Tape Benders at some point as well, which is where I met the bass player I play with now, named Jeff Cross, who's really great. And yeah.
Awesome, man. Here we are.
Super, I don't know, he's a really good player. He's good at just kind of figuring out what to do. Asking. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and you're also you play a lot of shows. You've been playing pretty frequently around the town. I saw you play at the Cream Vellum EP release. Shout out Cream Vellum.
Cream Vellum.
That was and then I had the opportunity to interview you after the show, and I instantly felt like you were just there's something just very striking about you and the way you perceive music. because I remember you said that kind of when I was inquiring about your influential process and just sort of like where you sort of find it, sort of where you just found your sound in relation to like what to the way like other artists have done it as well. And you said something really unique, and that was that you don't really like to take influence from other artists. You don't like
not on purpose.
Yeah. You don't like to have it's not intentional.
Yeah.
It's merely passive for you.
Very passive, yeah. And I practice that just like I practice my music, and the way that I consume music is generally very passive, and that allows me to kind of have this more responsive attitude toward it. Because if I'm actively pursuing music all the time, that's great if you're not writing, but then when you're writing something, you can accidentally kind of take those ideas that you really like this other person's doing, and then that kind of spills over into your work maybe too literally, and then you find yourself, I accidentally stole this guitar part from this thing. And I don't know, I think it just kind of creates this whole other avenue for creating, and I love improvising, so I love getting out of my head entirely and feeling like I'm watching myself do something almost, because I'm not really there almost, but I am. And then, you improvise and you come up with words on the spot, and then you start to figure out what you're talking about, For me, it's like therapy. It's like, I don't even know what the song's about. I'll perform songs that I don't even know what they're about yet. And I'll be playing it live and be like, I think this song's about how, like, my grandfather made me feel in this moment in my life, or whatever the thing is.
Yeah, of course. So where did you start really, like, listening to music? Like, where did you start finding yourself listening to music more technically and less leisurely?
I think it was probably like 6 years ago. I was watching a interview with Leslie Feist, and she was talking about how she uses that as a technique to help her not write something that she doesn't want to be writing, and allow the song to kind of just happen out of this more organic process of just, taking it in and then not trying to find music all the time. She never would put on something on her own. It was always like her friends or whatever, here's a song.
Sure.
And it's just the psychology behind that is was really fascinating to me, so it inspired me to do the same thing.
Totally. I feel like I consume journalism in the same way, because I went to school for journalism, and you learn to sort of find you kind of definitely analyze it a lot more like technically and less sort of at face value. So like when I would read like news articles, I would find myself paying more attention to like the AP style of the article, or I would, the inverted pyramid, or just how the story is structured, the quotations and things like that. And
not really taking in the substance, but more how they put it together.
Exactly.
I'm a very process-oriented person, so I totally feel you on that.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, this is it's definitely marking the difference in how I'm perceiving my own craft. It's like I want it to be different. I want it to be something that isn't replicating a different, another journalist
you want
or
it to be
another
as
blog.
honest as possible, right?
Right.
When it comes down to any art form, I think the big thing is you're trying to communicate something in the most you way that you can, and if you're trying to be something that you're not, everyone can tell.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that's it.
Right, yeah.
That's the thing. And that's what I think. I don't know. It's just...
Oh, totally.
Just be yourself, let it happen, and don't, I don't know. I think that just works.
I feel like the more authentic you are, the better you can pick up on superficialness.
Right. And you can't try to be authentic. It's like an oxymoron, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's like...
That's so true. You cannot try to be authentic. You just are.
And I don't know, sometimes that can be a problem for some people, because they want to be themselves, and if they see you being so much you, then you know what I mean? There can be this weird, like, oh, why can't I be myself?
Like tension, sort of, yeah.
I don't know, and sometimes I feel that. Sometimes I don't know, because I've had a terrible, like, life in some ways, just like a lot of people, and at some point, I've almost died, and it put things in perspective for me. It made me feel like I need to just not really care. I can't, like, if I give a shit too much, then at some point, I like, lose, like, what's the point then? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, if you don't mind me asking, if you want to elaborate on that, what do you mean you almost died?
Well, it's been a couple times. One time was a snorkel accident that went awry, and I was being sucked out to sea.
Yikes.
I pretended to be a dolphin, and then everything was okay. I was just like, I'm going to swim with my full body right now. You know, like,
oh, yeah.
That was one of the times.
Where was it?
That was when I was in Puerto Rico with my sister and my dad, and horrifying experience. That was one of the times the reason this bread is here is because I can't eat grains, which stems from the fact that I have Crohn's disease. So I almost died because of some complications I had with that illness when I was very young, like 13 years old, and in the hospital for like 3 months, and had to get part of my intestines removed and everything. And that, for me, like, that's kind of what stemmed this creativity, because I wasn't a creative person before that. I was kind of afterward, I got into art and decided when I was a senior in high school that I was already acing school. I was doing really well. I'm like, this is gonna be my year. I just take all art classes my senior year, and I'm gonna stroll into school late and kind of do whatever I want. But that didn't work out, and then I found music. But it's just like, it was interesting that was kind of how it happened for me. But it put a lot of things into perspective for me. And then the more I played and the more experiences I had, I just kind of realized, like, you just gotta, that's what you gotta do. You just gotta be yourself.
Totally.
Try to be yourself as much as you can.
Yeah, so dive into a little bit of your music. So you've got, I vividly remember just how unique it was watching you on the mic, with your keyboards, and just sort of how your voice is very unique, and you also set it up really differently than a lot of other artists, which I think is really cool. So tell me a little bit about, what makes Bum Alum different than your previous projects, specifically in like the material, and tell me a little bit about what you got planned for the project.
Sure. Before we were more of an art rock kind of thing, and it was more orchestral based, or now it's kind of more dance and kind of synth based, but the sounds aren't as good. So that's kind of what my problem is. I want to kind of get back to that orchestral kind of way of writing a song, but in a more linear format, because when I played with the original project, it wasn't a linear format. It was like a song. There was parts, and it wasn't like a beach house song where, we have a hook, but the chords are the same. The song is literally the same the whole time. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I do. I try to figure out how to create songs that are more in a linear format. So the looping thing makes it so you kind of have to do that. So there's a little bit of wiggle room with the loop pedal and writing more traditional songs, because you can put it into this specific mode that allows you to have parts sectioned off. Like I can have section A, B, and C be lined up, and then write the song where it goes between them, and then it can kind of feel more like a song, but it's a lot harder to succinct that without other people. So for my purposes right now, I just try to figure out how to write in a linear format. And when I stopped playing with Bum Alum, it was a challenge for me, because I had to figure out how to do that and how to think about a song. And M. Lord was actually someone that really inspired me, because he's really good at writing hooks, and it made me realize, that the hook is the most important part of the song, and you can have a very simple thing that everything else is interacting with. But then when you put the hook into the song, you change the drums, you change the bass, everything changes around the chord progression.
Yeah.
That's how you make a song feel like a chorus without having to write another chord progression.
Sure.
And still use the same chord progression.
Totally.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. So in terms of your plans with the project moving forward, so where do you want it to take you? Where do you hope to play? Like,
yeah,
what are your
for
goals
sure.
with that?
Well, I was just in New York, and I met this guy who's starting this label called Billionaires in Progress. And we had a nice meeting over the phone, and he's got funding to start this label. So he said he'd be hitting me up pretty soon. So I'm actually going to get back at him about it. But I mean, if that isn't a thing, it's whatever. But I was out there for a little while, and it felt really positive because I ran an ad out there, and I had a lot of people that wanted to play with me out there just in the few weeks that I was there. So that was really sweet. I didn't get to play with any of them. I met with one of the guys, but I was testing those waters, and I liked that, and I would think about maybe doing that, but I also really want to stay in Milwaukee. It's just, it seems like I've been here for a while, and I haven't got to that level of exposure that I wanted, and I was closer with the first iteration of the band. It felt like it was moving in that direction more, but right now, I don't know, I have a fan base. I have people that come out, and surprisingly people I don't even know sometimes show up to my shows, and it's definitely it's like a thing that's happening. But I don't know, I'm getting older now, and I'm like, I want this to happen. And I run really cold, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should go somewhere warmer. I don't know. But see, my sister's a flight attendant, so I can kind of fly around for really cheap. So part of me wants to just spend some of my time in Milwaukee, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do too. I kind of just trying to live my life like a nomad almost. Brett Newski.
Oh yeah.
He did that for a while, and it worked really well for him, and he's kind of an inspiration in that regard. So I've been kind of just making my life work without necessarily having a home base right now.
Sure.
And that's been a really fascinating thing. Hey, I might sleep on your couch tomorrow.
There you go.
Just saying. But it's good because at some point, you need to just own the whole thing and just try to make it work. And I'm trying to save some money. I've got an album I'm trying to make. I'm trying to start a bread business over here. And then I do art and stuff as well. So I don't know. I'm trying to do a bunch of different things and trying to make it all work. And where the music's going to take me, I'm not sure. But for me, I just make it because it makes me feel good. And I don't know. I guess that's it. Because, at some point, I wouldn't want someone to own my music and not recognize it for what it is and try to change it. Because that'd be like trying to change me.
Yeah.
It's very personal to me.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Right. 100%. So where do you, how do you like to market yourself?
I mostly use Instagram to market myself. And I kind of keep up with my Facebook page. I use a couple different apps to keep track of my analytics and stuff, but for the most part, word of mouth, these kinds of things we're doing right now, which the thing is my second interview maybe, so it's I liked it's great.
Yeah. And
then higher profile gigs when they come along can kind of help market it. I actually have a show coming up at Chill on the Hill on June 4th. Which is
June 4th, Chill on the Hill.
A week from Tuesday, so that'll be my bigger show, especially if it doesn't rain.
I love Chill on the Hill.
It's so fun.
I like it more than jazz in the park.
Yes, everyone is really just way more chill. It's just literally in the name.
I know, yeah, exactly, and it's a lot less cluttered. It's in Bayview, so
it's more spread out. There's not too many vendors, and they're far enough away where you can't hear the traffic from the people. It's great. Right,
100%. So I think that kind of a cool thing. A couple podcasts ago, I remember we were talking about this. It's kind of cool how you can earn a lot of new fans based on the fans that come for different artists. They hear of a different. They already are familiar with someone who's performing, and they come up to the show that you're also performing at, and then they're here and they see you and they're like, wow, holy shit, this dude's on the map. This dude is doing something of his own, and I feel like that's definitely a great way to.
It's been happening a little bit like that for me. I've been going up to people that I see are at the show for me, and I ask them how they've heard about me, and then they tell me, they went to a show at, High Dive or wherever it was, and they saw me play, but they were intending on seeing someone else. But now they're going to my show. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's really great. It's great when that happens. There's that crossover. Definitely word of mouth. I'm trying to get into this boat now of passing out flyers and trying to actually make a real effort, figuring out shows that are happening in the city that are similar to what I'm doing and going to them and flyering them. Like I work at the theater, the Pabst Theater, because I used to work for them. So I'm like, all right, I need to start doing this for myself. I've been asking my friends, my old co-workers I used to work with there, hey, where should I flyer for this show? Like, this is the music.
I used to walk up and down Brady, and I would just, because I used to live with some buddies that ran a recording studio, and I used to just like walk up and down Brady, and I would just put a flyer on like every single telephone pole. There's also a lot of like different like sort of billboards over there.
Oh yeah. Oh totally.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good spot. It was funny though. I was talking with my friend, and I was trying to get advice because he knows what's up, and he said because the show's for June 2nd. I'm playing at the Pabst Brewery Tap Room. And it's a little bit out of the way, right? So it's downtown, a little bit out of the way.
It's a more obscure part of the
town.
town.
And he's like, all right, you need to try to go at those 20-something-year-olds that have cars. And then there's the Frulong Festival, I think that's how you say it, Frulong Festival tomorrow. Yeah. And he told me this artist that's playing, and he's like, oh, I think that you would have good crossover with that, because the band that I'm playing with is called Sniffle Party. They're from Eau Claire. And he's like, oh, I think there'd be a good crossover between fans that like that and that might know who Sniffle Party is, because Sniffle Party has actually got some play in Milwaukee on their Spotify. Like, they're doing okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so I can maybe find their fans there. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, thanks, Cal Tobner.
Nice.
You know?
Oh, shout out Cal Tobner. Holy shit. That's my guy, dude.
You know Cal too?
I do know Cal.
I love Cal. Cal gave me that tip.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I actually
so amazing.
So I originally met Cal because me and him are both part of an Animal Collective fan page, and we first connected in there because I saw like this guy's in Milwaukee. He likes the same band as me, so we started talking through that, and then I saw him last weekend actually at Cactus Club for Dogs and Ecstasy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but great guy. Really, really sweet guy.
So nice.
Yeah.
I love Cal.
Yeah, dude. That's so fun.
I've known him for a while. I really like him.
You start seeing a lot of the same faces and same music aficionados in this, just on the scene in Milwaukee. And that's just a really beautiful thing, is people are really devoted to music here. Yeah,
and you can find people that can help you, and you can reach out and try to figure it out. I feel like right now I run into this problem of just not having that resource readily available all the time, and then I'm trying to balance too many things because I'm trying to do too many things and wear too many hats, and then it's hard because you're trying to have friendships, you're trying to network, you're trying to release an album, you're trying to make t-shirts, you're trying to do all these different things, and
the marketing and the spending money and
like you gotta go print these things off, and
you're essentially a bona fide self-operating business.
I am a business. It's true. Like, and I make money from doing the things I do. Whether it's enough for me to pay taxes on it, I'll never know because I don't keep track of it.
Yeah.
And that's my way of whatever. But it is. It's totally business, and it's great. But at the same time, you're trying to run your life. For me, I'm trying to figure out the food that I can eat all the time.
Yeah, that too.
And social situations where like people give me free food and I have to be like, oh, like, can you take off half of that and then I can eat it? Can you scrape the cheese off of it first? Like, and sometimes you don't want to say no, and it's weird because then you find yourself having to explain yourself all the time. And it's like, well, I don't want to have to do that either.
That used to be me.
It's a very confusing thing sometimes with life.
That used to be me with smoking weed. I used to constantly have to explain myself that I don't smoke weed. It gives me really, really bad anxiety, paranoia.
Right.
And I used to have people that would question it and be like, why don't you do this? Like, maybe you just didn't smoke the right strain or something.
Oh, yeah, like people trying to like peer pressure you back into it. I mean, there is an element of smoking weed where it takes practice, but at the same time, some people just get paranoid.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That.
Right. But I get you on the explaining yourself, and it kind of makes you have that you kind of do worry about that sort of impression building where you don't want to appear as this, super like spazzy, like neurotic, or like just otherwise like over worried person.
Right.
But
it's just your everyday life is to be kind of like that sometimes for some people, and that's just the thing, you know. I wish I didn't have to do that. Obviously, I wish I could just treat my body like it's an amusement ride or something, you know. But you can't always do that.
Yeah, dude, totally. So
it's rough. I'm actually trying to start an app. I don't even want to talk about it because I think it's such a good idea that
you don't want to give anything away.
I don't even want to because someone might do it, but it's basically like an app that would allow you to know where quality food is and know that it's available before you get there.
Sure.
Through a user-generated forum that would be an advocacy based app too, and because I've been trying to be an advocate because I can't eat food, so that's something that's very important to me. Is I challenge people who don't know what they're talking about when I go to a grocery store. I go to the meat department, I look at their meat, and I can tell it's just complete crap, right? I just look at it and I just know that it's garbage meat. So I go up to whoever's in the meat department and I ask them, hey, excuse me, I was thinking of getting some of this chicken over here. Do you know where it comes from? And every single time I ask someone in a meat department that seems a little shady, they just say, oh, the United States. And then I say, okay, well, that's a pretty big place that we're in. Can you tell me where in the United States? And then they don't know.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's horrifying, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that a horrifying feeling to
have no knowledge?
The person that's putting the stuff out there, and on the label doesn't even say where it's from. They don't know where it's from. It doesn't say anything about how it was prepared. Why would I buy that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
And then I tell them that. I say, well, you know, I would love to buy food from you, but if you don't know where it came from, why would I want it?
Yeah.
You know?
So it kind of reminds me of do you watch Portlandia at all?
I do.
It reminds me of the pilot episode when they're asking the waitress about where their chicken comes from, and they go to the farm to make sure it's ethically grown. It's so funny.
It's hilarious, but that's what we need to be doing, and that's why that's funny, because it's like commenting on a real thing, and it's messed up because if you don't know where your food comes from, you can be poisoning yourself. And it's a real thing. Like, that's how breast cancer is a thing. Men that develop man boobs, they get those man boobs from eating too much estrogen, and if your meat is full of all these hormones coming from an unnatural place, or all these antibiotics because the chickens get sick, or we just put antibiotics in their feed, they won't get sick and they won't die. Well, now you're eating antibiotics. Great, that stuff in your body acts as estrogen.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember
it's terrible.
It
causes cancer. Who would have thought?
Yeah, no kidding. I took a food studies class in college, and I remember talking about a lot of that kind of stuff, like hormones and GMOs, and
it's a thing, and it's something I have to think about every day because I'm forced to, because it's my life. It's just like I have to think about that, because if I don't, I will die.
Yeah. Well, also because reading a label is also a skill too, because you have to know exactly what
they try to trick you too. For everyone, if you see something that says grass-fed, it's a lie. That means that the cow is only grass-fed for the first month of its life, and then it was fed corn.
Really?
So it's a big scam in our country. If you see something that says grass-fed, it's not true. You need to buy the meat that says 100% grass-fed. That is the real meat. That's what's up. And not that many places have that. Trader Joe's is one of the best places to buy your meat. Just saying. Aldi's owned by them. Also pretty good.
Love Trader Joe's. Great fan.
Trader Joe's is amazing.
Great fan, yeah.
Gosh.
That's actually a good point, because also I look that way with juice. I never buy juice unless it's 100% juice. Not even just those labels will try to trick you and say 100% vitamin C.
Right. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that.
You gotta watch out. It has to say 100% juice, because that is the healthiest.
And then when you look at the ingredients, it should just say apples. That's it.
I know.
Okay, cool.
None of this concentrate type shit.
You know what I hate? My biggest pet peeve is people make banana chips. Bananas are sweet and delicious and amazing, and then you go buy certain banana chips, and they put sugar on it.
Yeah.
It's it's already sweet. It's a banana. What are you doing? Putting syrup on your banana for it. It's I get so annoyed by that kind of stuff. Shopping, I'm I can't eat this. I could have been eating it, but you spent more money. It's you want to spend more money on this and put sugar on it, and it's like, you could just spend less money and just, they're banana chips.
Sugar is such an enterprise.
It's the worst thing, because our bread is sugar, so literally we're just living in this sugar land, and like that's why that band name is so great, because that's literally the truth right there.
Yeah, because it's so profitable.
It is, because it's cheap, and for some reason people think that fat is terrible for you, and it's all a lie. And I read an article actually saying that back in the 70s, the scientists discovered how sugar and bread is actually really terrible for you, and that fat is awesome, but they got paid off to keep quiet and to push bread and push sugar, and that's why grains are subsidized in our country, and that's why we have a 60% obesity rate. And bread is literally everywhere you go. It's like, I can't buy something and there's not bread in it. It's just insane.
Right.
And as someone that has an autoimmune disorder, I have to think about that all day. So it's like, I'm very aware of it all the time. And I don't know the source of the article. You have to do your own research, but it is what's happening regardless of whatever I just said. It is happening, and you do need to look out for yourself. And that's why people are getting diabetes at such a young age now. Totally. And I really do think that people are getting Crohn's disease at a higher rate in this country, and it's systemic to the food we eat. You are what you eat, and if you're putting garbage into your body, it's going to be bad. You might have a predisposition to getting an illness, and then if you shovel sugar in your face all day, well, of course that's going to happen, right? If you have a predisposition already. Yeah. Like, I'm not even a scientist, and that just makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just like,
read labels.
We're the only country that has such a high epidemic with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. We're like the only ones that is a thing I know for sure. Like that, it's like really high numbers.
Wow.
So.
Damn. So where do you find creativity, or I guess I should say, like just in general, like branding yourself? Like, where do you find similarities in like what you do with music, and also with like, you know, what you want to do with this bread here, and like.
The similarity for me is just that everything is kind of everything, right? Like, as an artist and someone that makes things, I always just try to draw comparisons to how, you know, making art is similar to making music and similar to making bread. Or I was trying to be an actor at one point, and I got cast into a movie, and before I went into audition, I just thought about how acting and music are the same, right? It's about your pacing, your timing, your tonality, your inflection, your pacing. All these things that are important in music are also important in acting. So for me, where I get my inspiration is harder to say, because for me, I just feel like a creative person. I love to improvise, and that was just something I practiced. And I don't know, like, where it comes from, other than just, you know, having a hard time at life sometimes with my body, and my family life wasn't always like, I mean, it's good, but like, I come from a family that was, you know, dysfunctional, like some families can be, you know. And I don't know, I grew up in a trailer park. I literally kind of came from like this very, you know, my background, like I didn't really even care about anything until I was like 10 years old. I was like, oh, I have to like go to school? And I was 10. I was like, I'm in school right now? I thought this was just like fun. So I don't know, for me, my inspiration, I think, is just systemic from my life. And, you know, then when I do things, I just try to think about how they're similar, and then how I can be creative and have fun with it. Like, this bread started off as a recipe that I found online. I tried to find the most basic almond bread recipe just to get like the basic ingredients. Like, there was like 4 ingredients in it, and then I was like, okay, now let me make my own thing off of that. And that's kind of do with my music. When I take a lot of inspiration from hip hop, in the sense that I use beats that are already made. Some of the time, I write some of my own beats too, and then I hodgepodge them together to create a new beat, right? So I have like 4 beats going on at one time in my songs, but they're coming from different drum machines. Some of them were things I reprogrammed, and I was like, oh, that doesn't work, but if I do this, it does. And then, you know, now I have this really sweet rhythm section. I've had people tell me like, oh, well, you better keep quiet about that or something. I'm like, no, that's like what hip hop is, right? So like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like try to get too caught up in like things you can't do, and like having boundaries just do it and just
Of course.
own it. You know, just own it and just have fun.
Yeah, man.
People will feel that. People like to have fun. So it's like, if you mess up, don't let anyone know. Just because no one's gonna know anyway.
Yeah. It's not like they know any better.
You don't want to ruin the vibe.
Right,
you know, like, maybe you can joke about it if it's really bad.
Of course, yeah, man.
That's it. I don't know.
Yeah, or in my case, just edit it out.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your ideas for this album that's coming out.
So the album is kind of a conglomeration of, you know, the last 8 or 9 years, almost 10 years I've been making music. I've never released an album. I've never released an EP. I've only released like a single and a demo, and that's it. Cause like I've always been one that's been very patient about doing what I do, and I'd rather put my best foot forward when I feel like this is it. But at some point you just need to put the album out, right? But the album is, I don't know, it's just a conglomeration of all my favorite songs that I've done over the last 5 years probably, and I've weeded out a lot of them, and I don't know. I have enough material though for like 4 or 5 albums right now, so it's like kind of interesting because I've backlogged like 60 songs right now. If I want to go like learn one of my songs, I can go on my SoundCloud and figure it out. But I don't know exactly, the whole message is kind of hodgepodge because it's all different parts of my life. And the songs are mostly just about my experiences with women, my experiences with food and dealing with that. Like my newest song, which I actually might put on the album, is I posted the lyrics today on my Instagram. So if you go on my Instagram, you can see those words, and it's about my battle with sugar and how I have a hard time eating sugar. And the lyrics are about how my Crohn's disease almost feels like it is me, and I like don't know how to not eat that sugar, and until I can like figure out how to conquer that, it's like it's running the show.
Yeah, wow.
Or something.
Sure.
So it's like that's kind of how, I don't know, that's how it operates. It's very much like therapy, like, yeah, I don't know. Or experiences I had. Like one time I was having a bad day and I robbed like something from a gas station. It was just like, you know, like a malt beverage. I was having a really bad day. And I wrote a song about it called Psychic Pain because I brought it back because I was like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. This isn't a good idea. Mm-hmm. I brought it back. I already started drinking it a little bit while I was driving. It was a whole thing. Oh, wow. It was not a good day I was having. But then I wrote this song as a way to express it and to get it out there, you know, and that's what I try to do. I just try to take my experiences and channel them into songs, and unknowingly most of the time. So it's good.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Bum Alum.
Hey.
What's happening? Yo, how about that Admiral Nelson though?
Dude, I'm feeling very admirable.
Good, yeah. I'm feeling like I'm the captain of a ship right now. Right. So, dude, what keeps you up at night?
Hopefully nothing keeps me up at night, but I guess just trying to figure out how to reach all of you and how we all can have a good time, because I know we all like to dance and have a good time, so
yeah, we do.
That's it, really, I guess. What
puts you to sleep?
Generally, I'm so tired these days that I can just kind of fall asleep instantly. But what puts me to sleep, I guess, is like a really good creative session. You know, making something on my phone or writing a song or something. You know.
There you go. I took a little power nap myself before this episode, so it's helpful.
Yeah, I miss naps. I haven't been able to nap as much as I like to, you know, because I don't always like have a place to stay. So it's like I can't just sleep wherever, but sometimes I can. Naps are great.
Naps
Everyone
are great.
Nap.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show, dude. Bum Alum, All Things Said, is currently streaming everywhere. Keep an eye out for this dude's album coming out soon. Also, just catch a Bum Alum show. They're a ton of fun.
Sniffle Party, June 2nd. Chill on the Hill, June 4th.
Coming up fast. All right. Thank you for watching, Mr. Nice Guy. We'll see you next time.
Mr. Nice Guy. Oh boy, what a long day. Sure, I'm ready to go home.
Hi, do you know about breaking and entering?
Are you talking about the music website where I can find all of Milwaukee's music in one place?
Yep.
And that means anything I want?
Yep.
Pop?
Yep.
Rock?
Mm-hmm.
R&B?
Yep.
Folk?
Yep.
Indie?
Yep.
Hip-hop?
Of course.
Norwegian death metal?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Uh-huh.
Now get out.
Wait, what?
Breaking and entering, the Milwaukee music website for you.